All right, so we're live. Welcome to another Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and RIZE presses. And I'm here with you on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, typically with a couple of our amazing editors. And we're here to answer any kind of questions that you may have. So, for those of you who may not be familiar, uh, all you have to do is go ahead and toss your questions into the comments section of whatever social media forum you may be watching this on. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and actually, I think that's all of it. Margaret says hi. Hey, Margaret. Awesome to see you. And oh, here we go. And here is one of our amazing editors, acquisition editors, Peter Wright. Hey, Peter, how are you doing?
How are you doing? I'm good.
Awesome. So good to see you. So for those of you who may not be familiar, we are starting a new series called 20 Questions, where we're basically asking our editors and our authors 20 questions about themselves, their lives, their stories, and so on. And I'm really looking forward to getting that in front of you guys. They're so much fun. It's just it's an absolute blast. And I was supposed to actually interview Peter, and unfortunately, I was running late, so that one is going to end up getting recorded a little bit later. But I know it's going to be awesome. So, uh, so Peter, how are you doing? What's new and exciting in your world? I think I've got a delay going on. Uh, Caroline Shannon Davenport says, "Hey Lisa, hey Peter," and Teha Venkat says hi. Margaret says hi. Hi everybody, awesome to see you guys. Um, um, yeah, there's definitely a delay. I can hear it. Oi. Well, guys, if you haven't watched this before and you want to, just go ahead and put your questions in the comments section. I'll repeat the question, and then we'll take turns in responding to those questions. And you really can ask us pretty much whatever you want. We're pretty open. So yeah. So actually, Peter, I've got a question for you. What are your thoughts on the writer's strike that's going on right now in Hollywood?
I think more power to them. I mean, they're fighting for what should be theirs. I mean, a couple of chips off of CEO's salary is not going to affect the top, but it will make a big difference with the writers. And I actually was interviewed by a student a long time ago about what it means to be a writer. And one of the things that I told him, or her, I didn't meet him actually, was that everything's written. You know, scripts are written, books are written, stories are written, columns are written. Everything is written. Almost everything starts out from a base of writing. So why would you turn your back on the people that create the fodder, the meat that you base your entire empire on? You treat them garbage. So it's like, no, the writers need a voice. They need they need what they deserve. They need a raise. They need more money, and they need more support for them and others. So we'll care a little bit about this if you can't tell.
Now, it's funny. I remember um, watching. Oh, I'm trying to remember which author it was, but this author of high acclaim and who had penned a graphic novel series. And I think it was Neil Gaiman, actually. It was one of his series. And a fan had said, "Oh, wow, you must be like a millionaire now, just on this one series alone." And he says, he was like, "Oh, I didn't, I got paid a flat fee to author those graphic novels. I wasn't paid royalties based on it." And I think a lot of people don't realize that, especially for the larger, more really established houses, if those authors are not well known, they don't get a percentage. They're not getting any kind of royalty based on sales. So it's interesting that there's a perception in our general public that the authors actually do get paid a percentage based on the actual revenue. So yeah, more power to those, to the all the writers who are actually creating that we consume on a daily basis. So oh, sorry, say that again. I'm sorry.
How can you progress on the strike? Are they still just standing firm?
As the last I saw, they're standing firm.
Okay.
It's pretty much whenever you whenever you drive by the studios in downtown Burbank, you're going to hear a whole lot of beeping going on of individuals who are in support of the writers. So,
Cool.
oh, it's Rod says that, Pete, your video is showing up terrible on YouTube. Maybe log out and log back in. Maybe that will clear it up.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. Teja says, I've seen a video where David Zaslav was giving a speech and people started chanting, "Pay your writers." Yeah, I mean, people are pretty passionate about it out here. It's hard enough to try and make a living in California, especially the Los Angeles area, let alone within the entertainment industry, especially if you're a writer or an editor or something like that. I think it's great that these guys are fighting for making a decent living. I actually recently saw some statistics that there's actually a large percentage of the people who are homeless in the city spaces who actually have a job. And, to think that these individuals, it's not, it's not that they don't, from my father's day, want to work. It's that they can't make a living in the areas that they have jobs in. And a lot of homeless people actually have as many 2 or 3 jobs. So, I think there's a lot of assessments that we need to do, and to really analyze, like, what is a living wage, and how can we make sure that individuals have an opportunity to have to be able to earn a living. It's just, I don't know, I just think it's awful that so many people have to have at least 2 jobs in order to just even not even honestly, they're not even making rent, right? They're just being able to put some food on the metaphorical table. So Caroline says, there is a reason artists, including those that are artists of the written word, are known as starving artists. Unfortunately, Caroline, that is accurate. I actually remember I was in a conversation a while ago with some, let's just say, some individuals from one of the studios, and it was interesting to me because the persons in the conversation who were of like finance executives were all for paying the the writers and those who would be considered authors, uh were all for paying them a living wage. And it was basically those who weren't as knowledgeable about what goes into the making of a narrative, were those who were like, oh, we'll pay them nothing. They'll just love the fact that they're even being given an opportunity. And unfortunately, that is true. I mean, oftentimes, those who are artists are just simply thankful for being given the opportunity to get their work out into the broader sphere. And you know I think we as a society take advantage of it a bit too much. So but I did think it was really interesting that Neil Gaiman came forward and said, I don't see a percentage of this. This is, I did that back when I before I was, in air quotes, Neil Gaiman. So hey, Peter, can you hear me?
Hello, everything's Wi-Fi, so this should be a cleaner connection.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Awesome. So what's going on in the land of Florida?
Jeez. Not much that's good, unfortunately. I mean,
Oh, that's not good.
We're opposite ends of the country, almost polar opposite ends of sanity, seems like. Just in terms of all the garbage that's being, I mean, one person complained about a book in Miami-Dade County, so they banned, not a book, the poet laureate's speech or poem. One person complained, so they banned it from an entire elementary school. Like, none of this stuff's making sense to me. So, and the governor's at war with Mickey Mouse and losing. And I wish there was some more,
I'm sorry.
that's no. But that's basically what he is. So, New York is looking better and better. We'll see what happens.
Well, the governor likes to the governor typically goes at war with Mickey Mouse at least once every decade. So it's probably time. Unfortunately. Caroline says, right on.
That's political stuff. Don't want to talk about political. I want to talk about arts.
So how do you like what's the latest works you're working on now? That was an awful sentence, but you know what I mean. Rod says, my money's on Mickey. Look how long he's been around. They just can't beat him. Yeah, Mickey's got a pretty impressive track record right over there. That is very true. And yeah, Mickey definitely gets around. It'll be interesting to see how everything evolves with the writer strike and just in general, like how this all evolves. It seems like just based on the limited information that I've heard, it seems like there's a lot of 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, but we'll just have to see how, as these things progress, how the I mean, and it's not just writers, right? It's the writers, it's the editors, it's the directors, and see how they actually come forward during this period. So, yeah. Mickey has an impressive track record. That is very, very true. So, cool. All right. Let's see. What else is going on? And we have, we almost have Peter. Let's see. Uh-oh. Oh, well. Hopefully he'll show back up in a minute. So guys, I've been working on, like I said, a new series called 20 Questions, where I'm going around and asking some of our key editors and some of our amazing authors who we're publishing in the upcoming months. It's actually a little more than 20 questions, so that everyone can get a sense of their amazingness. And actually, it's a lot more than 20 questions. And I really think you're going to enjoy it. We've, generally speaking, had a lot of really fun laughs so far in these 20 questions. And we're actually looking at potentially reinvigorating our storytellers happy hour with myself and with Teehee. And I'm going to guess that we're probably going to reinvigorate that starting next month. And in the storytellers happy hour, typically what we do is we have a big bowl of prompts, and we invite a bunch of authors to come pick a prompt and then tell a story based on that prompt. Now, what's funny is the first time Teehee and I did this, I thought that, okay, people are going to tell, they'll make up stories on the fly. Well, what was interesting is a lot of the people were actually telling true stories, but they were like fictionalizing the names. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how, what people bring forward in the next round of Storytellers Happy Hour. So
cool. I think you're better now.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. I can actually hear you.
Computer, I keep putting foot in the computer. It's just slowly dying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. Rod Gilly says, I got here late. I don't know a lot, but writers going on strike, really? Those writers who have money jobs should know there are 1,000 writers ready to take their place. Okay. So, but if someone can't actually live in some place, like they can't actually have an apartment, then I think they can't afford to pay their rent. I think we should support them in in their efforts. So just my 10 cents. Teja says, I don't know if it's okay.
Yeah, I like these massive salaries. You got these massive salaries of the heads of studio, and I mean, just loosen the purse strings a little bit. I mean, give the little guy the chance. Like I was saying before, trying to say, everything's written. Without writers, you've got nothing. And it starts with the writers, then the actors, then the producers and directors. Without the writers, you're not even starting. That's really still.
It was interesting that as soon as.
Hear me now?
Actually, oddly, it's harder to hear you, that makes no sense. Can you hear me?
It was still good last week. This week is just, and this is the only on my computer.
Oh, can you try your iPhone?
Sorry,
No worries. So Tejas says, I don't know if it's okay to ask this. If it's okay, could you tell us about how the book business works? It's interesting. I actually just had a one of the storytellers happy hour with one of our amazing authors, and it's interesting. This book business has changed dramatically in the last, I'm going to say 20, 30 years. Once upon a time, uh, there were a limited number of publishers that you could put your book out. And, there still are. Um, but there's so many different options in terms, like, if you're a writer and you want to put a book out, there are, I mean, seriously, there are hundreds of options that you can pursue in terms of getting your story out there. You could, go after one of the big five, and get, more classically published. You can get published with one of the, like, a smaller publishing house like ours. You could get published with a hybrid publisher. There are a lot of hybrid publishers, and what a hybrid publisher is basically a publisher where the author actually brings forward funds towards the actual creation of that, whatever that story is. So, the author may actually pay for the paperbacks to get printed. Maybe they pay for the, editor who is works on their piece. There are just so many different options out there nowadays. It really depends on what your goals are and what you want to accomplish. So, the book business is just, it's so complex nowadays. And there's so many different options. It really depends on what you want to accomplish um, in the creation of your book, whatever that book may be. Um, Rod says, believe me, I understand the hard to get by. I live on what you spend for lunch. There are many in Kentucky who live on less than 10,000 a year. Okay, but that also, their cost of living is significantly lower as well. So it's which doesn't make it right and it doesn't make it wrong, but you have to look at it in terms of in within the framework of that culture and the cost of living within that area before making a judgment in terms of what's needed to make a living and to pay your bills. $10,000 a year in Kentucky is not gonna cover a heck of a lot more than $10,000 a year will cover in Los Angeles or within New York City. So I personally, with COVID, what I was hoping would happen was that it would enable individuals to work from home, and it would become kind of like a great equalizer, so that those roles that where you don't absolutely have to be in that neighborhood, they could move out of, like Los Angeles or New York City, or much more metropolitan areas, and move to more rural areas where the dollar is going to go much farther. So I know that there were quite a few people who did take advantage of that when they were informed by their employer that they didn't have to stay within the area, that it would be okay for them to move to another state or another area where, again, the dollar would go much farther. Then it was wonderful, right? They had I have actually several friends who did move to much more rural areas. And then what ended up happening was, once COVID, their company no longer mandated that they had to stay home because of COVID. They were actually informed that they had to move back to the city. So although they were able to take advantage of the more the better cost of living and the more rural areas, it was only for a limited period of time, and they ended up having to come back to the bigger cities. So I'm curious to see how this evolves, and how it impacts different industries, and how those industries work. What we have, Caroline says, what we have to look at is the truth that artists have always been financially undervalued. Um, Admittedly, yeah. Typically there's like a 1%, maybe a 3% of artists, at least in the United States, who do incredibly well, and but the vast majority actually get paid very little for their efforts, and that is a truth. Um, if somehow we would be able to assign the key performance indicators that would better get us in terms of understanding what the actual consumption is of those artists' work, so that it could be more fair. So that artists, so that their works would be consumed, they would get properly compensated for the creation of their works and for the consumption of their works. So I think all of it just keeps evolving with time. Teha asks, have you met any celebrities? Yeah, sure. I mean, I think pretty much everybody on the planet meets celebrities as you continue forward. Like my husband was working at a nightclub in Germany, and um, uh, oh, that night, the nightclub gets frequented by a lot of celebrities, so he gets to meet folks all the time. I don't know. I mean, I just kind of view the celebrity, it's another form of job, and those individuals are doing things that that entertain, and that entertainment is what they're getting paid for. So it's a job, it's a gig. But yeah, I mean, Teha, all you have to do is go to pretty much any city, and not to sound trite, but you will most likely run into individuals who are who are of some type of celebrity status, especially if you're in like New York City or in Burbank or in one of the studio areas. So Rod Gilly says 200 years after death, we will all be famous. So we have that going for us. Poe, Lovecraft, Van Gogh, and more. Seems historically true. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, if since it's all recorded, then I think probably the likelihood of being famous or being of note is higher, just because so much of what we consume and that we do is actually put out in the stratosphere, so that, you know, as many people as possible can consume it. So yeah, sure. 200 years from now, we'll all be famous. Why not? Let's see. So we've got a half hour, guys. And just in case, if you are just now signing in, just go ahead and toss your questions into the comment section of whatever forum that you may be watching, either the live stream or the recording. If you're watching this, then it is after 5 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific time, or 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's not a big deal, because we always go back and check our comments section for any additional questions that people may have posted after our actual live stream. And then we do our best to address those questions in the subsequent Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. So go ahead, guys, toss those questions out there. I think what I found was really interesting, actually. Some of our authors had commented, you know, like that they put their work out there, and they, you know, put their stories out to other publishers that, you know, maybe they're huge fans of, and they had not been picked up. And you know, they were they figured that when they sent their work to us, it was going to get rejected yet again. I think, honestly, because our focus when we are looking at works, we're looking for great stories. So we're not necessarily looking for a young adult. We're not looking for a middle adult. We're not looking for some kind of story that, you know, is, you know, addressing a specific you know, subset of the population. We're looking for great stories, and we're looking for voices that, you know, maybe you wouldn't necessarily see or hear or experience elsewhere, because it's so unique, or it's so rare. So, you know, I actually, I'm always pretty happy when I talked to one of our authors, and, you know, they mention how, you know, it was just like an absolute pleasure to work with one of our editors, and, you know, really just felt renewed when their book came out. So yeah. Caroline says, Lisa, what is your week ahead looking like? So my week ahead, I actually, not this week, but next weekend, I will be, so I'm actually in the middle of reviewing stories that were submitted as the initial 10 pages for the California Writers Crime Writers group. So they have a conference that's coming up in mid-June. And so I'm going to be reviewing the opening of these novels, 10 novels, believe it or not. It's initial 10 pages of 10 novels. And honestly, man, these people can write. There are a lot of great writers out there, folks. Definitely take advantage of it. I'm also going to be heading out to a comedy show at the Haha Comedy Club on Sunday, May 28th at 8 p.m. It's a benefit. Guys, check it out. Again, the Haha Comedy Club off of Lancashire Boulevard in LA. Definitely worth it. Definitely check it out. I'm getting my hair done next weekend on the 3rd. So that's not nearly as exciting as it may sound like. And then on the Sunday, the 4th, on June 4th, I'm actually going to be heading to Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore for the Writers Coffee House. I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't been able to go to the Writers Coffee House in quite a while. And I miss seeing all the great writers there and just, talking shop. So if you're in the San Diego area, and I definitely recommend, again, Writers Coffee House on June 4th. I believe it starts at 11. It's from 11 to 2 p.m. So definitely come join us. Are you going to be on the June? So Rod, I hate to say this, I don't know what a BBBB is. So maybe if you spell it out for me, then I can tell you if I am going to be on the June BBBB. I am going to be at the June Writers Coffee House. I am going to be at a June Writers Conference. I am going to be at StokerCon in Pittsburgh, and I'm on at least one panel. I'm also doing a book signing, and I might be on 2 panels. Definitely, guys, go check that out. I will also be at this, like as I mentioned, the CCWC on Sunday, June 11th. And again, that's the California Crime Writers Conference, Consult Fest. And I'll be giving feedback on the initial 10 pages of 10 writers' works. And like I said, I got to tell you, there's some impressive stuff out there. So definitely learn from your fellow writers, because I think we all have something to bring forward, and there's some really great work out there. And then I'm also going to be going back for the 4th of July to Philadelphia. I'm originally, for those of you who may not know, I am originally from the Philadelphia area, so I'm actually heading back for the 4th of July. So that should be a lot of fun. Okay, so Margaret says, in what capacity is Running Wild Press works with the Seymour Agency? So the Seymour Agency, they represent all of our authors' works in terms of licensing. So what that means is they bring it forward in terms of to be acquired for audiobook. We work with them in terms of something that's called a one pager, which is basically like a 1-page snapshot of the story itself, why the story rocks. Usually it has, some quotes associated with it, that kind of thing. And the Seymour Agency takes that 1-pager along with an advanced review copy and brings it forward to other licensors. It could be producers. It could be, potentially for, to be made into TV or film, to be translated into other languages. Yeah, you name it. If any format, any form of licensing that you can think of, the Seymour Agency represents the Running Wild and RIZE stories within those additional formats. So it's a pretty dynamic relationship. Oftentimes, what'll happen is the Seymour Agency's agents will meet with their contacts at like different licensing agencies, and find out from their clients what it is they're interested in acquiring. So then the Seymour Agency will reach out to us and ask us, hey, do you have anything that's like a thriller with a female protagonist who has a dog or something? I just made that up, obviously. And we'll go through our catalog to see what might fit within whatever that licensor is looking for. We'll pull together a 1-pager and then shoot that off to the Seymour Agency for them to share with that licensor. So yeah, and then whenever we're done working with an author, and editing the work. We provide a one-pager, which includes the basically back jacket copy of the book itself, as well as the author's bio, if there's any fabulous blurbs that we've already received, and then a digital advanced review copy we provide as well. And then the Seymour agency representatives then share that among their contacts across all the different agencies. So I hope that made sense. Rod says, BBBB is Beach Bound Book Bash. I am not going to be at the Beach Bound Book Bash, but I'm also, I've heard of it. I just wasn't invited to be a part of it. So I'm not going to be there. That said, if they wanted to invite me, as long as I'm available, I'm happy to do it. So online show by Books That Make You and or Black Chateau on June 3rd. Cool. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Let us know how it goes, Rod. I'd love to hear your take on the Beachbound Book Bash. Might be kind of fun to hear about their online excitement. So I've never attended a Beachbound Book Bash, but I have heard that it's good. So anyway, Rod says, is it too late to submit for Anthology 8? It is too late to submit for Anthology 8, but that's okay because our submissions for novella and short story anthologies are on a rolling basis. So even if you missed it for, Anthology 8, if you submit your work now, then it would be considered for the next anthology, so Anthology 9. And we are actually going to be, I am going to be working on an anthology with Jonathan Mayberry, which is a blend of like horror, magical realism. We are currently working on what the Kickstarter campaign is going to look like for it. So definitely invite you to submit your works to that. And if you are interested, also look now at the anthology that is based in the world of Cure, and definitely take advantage of that. Who doesn't love a good werewolf? So I'm actually going to be going online. I think the deadline is July 31st for individuals to submit their works for the online, the magical realism and and the anthology that's set in the world of Cure. But definitely go check it out. It promises to be a lot of fun. I'm really, really looking forward to reading the stories that are written in that world. I think you guys can just have an absolute blast. And I've gotten some really interesting questions regarding it. So I'd say if you're not sure if you should submit it, I think that means that you should. The absolute more, the more the merrier. So let's see. I'm just pulling up a link to it so you guys can go and check it out. So here we go. Here is a link. So if you go into the comments section, I just put in a link to the submittable page to the world of Cure, and it explains all the expectations associated with submitting a short story to the world of Cure anthology. I'm positive you guys are going to come up with stories that are much more interesting and engaging than anything I've come up with. So I'm actually really, really excited to to see these stories. I know they're going to be absolutely phenomenal. And you have until July 31st of this year to submit your short story. So definitely, again, send it on. If you have any questions about the submission process or about the world, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk through any kind of questions that you might have regarding the world of Cure anthology. So again, I'm really excited. I think, like I said, you guys are going to come up with stories that are far more mind blowing than anything that I've potentially even mildly come up with. So. And then we've also gotten a couple of questions around submissions for Running Wild and RIZE. We have temporarily put on hold acceptances to Running Wild just because we have acquired enough stories to last through 2025. So with that said, what we are actually doing is basically sitting tight for a little bit in the Running Wild space in acquiring full-length works. We are going to renew that. I'm going to say probably the beginning of 2024 we'll renew looking at new works to acquire. So, that's actually not that far from now. It's all of like what, 5 or 6, 7 months. So just gives you a chance to go back and polish up whatever it is that you've got on your back burner so that we can check it out in the beginning of 2024. With RIZE, we are continuing to acquire new stories. Again, what we typically do is for full-length works, we look at them on a like every 3-4 months, something like that. And we do have a backlog in terms of books that we've acquired. And for those of you who have published with us, we're very open about that. And so what I do ask is for your patience, because what we do is once we have editors who are available, we send them along and the submission that the author has sent along to us for review, and we ask them if it's something that they would be interested in editing and working with that author. And we do it basically in sequential order. So those that we acquired the farthest out to the newest, if that made sense. So we thank you for your patience. If you are one of those phenomenal authors who we have welcomed to our fold. Oh, I've got a question for you guys. If you are an author or an editor with Running Wild, would you ever be interested in some kind of like get together, whether it's at like a happy hour at a bar in Los Angeles, or if it's at a, I don't know, maybe it's like in downtown, or it's at the beach, or in Venice, something where basically all of our brood can get together and just hang out and BS. So if that is something and you as an editor or an author for Running Wild and or RIZE are interested in doing, go ahead, toss it into the comments section. Let me know that this is something that you would love to be a part of. And in the past, we actually have set up different events for our authors to get together, and our editors to get together. I'm more than happy to have some of our folks set that up again. It's always wonderful to see everyone and just to really have an opportunity to be with some of the fam. So with that, we only have, oh, Margaret says, I'd love to. Oh, awesome. We would love to see you. So definitely. Cool. We've got one thumb up. One thumb up. Yeah, that made no sense. Anyway, Caroline says, sure would. Wish I lived closer. All right. We've got 2 yeses. Now that. All right, guys. Come on. You go ahead. Keep on letting me know if this is something that you would be interested in. We could also just do basically like a virtual happy hour as well, where everyone can kind of sit around and BS and catch up. So we can totally do that too, because I fully acknowledge. I mean, we have authors all over the world. We have ones in Australia. We have authors in the UK. We have authors in well, Canada. Oh, that sounded so lame. Anyway, but yeah, that's all. We've got authors all over the place. So yeah, we can definitely do one that's like a virtual happy hour, and then we can also do one that's in person. And Margaret, to your point, yeah, absolutely, we'd make sure that we give you plenty of advance notice, so that you can fly out, and it would be absolutely fabulous to see you. So yeah, definitely, guys. All right, so we've got 9 minutes, a little less than 9 minutes left. All right, folks, go ahead, toss your questions into the comments section. Sorry, it's just me this time. I'm pretty sure Peter's having some networking challenges, and Ben, I believe he actually has a class tonight. So it's looking like it's just me, but I'm always happy to pass questions along to my fellow editors for their, $1.25, and Cody as well. Actually, it's always, honestly, it's a blast whenever Cody's here. Same with Amy. Rod says, travel to LA is beyond me at the moment, but I'm not shy about online video. Well, that is true. And honestly, this is the kind of thing that we like to do on a rolling basis. So even if we do have a get together in LA, or if we have a get together in New York, or if we have a get together in Philadelphia or something like that, most likely we'll probably do it again in the future, just because, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to only hang out once. I mean, come on, you got to hang out with your folks on a recurring basis. It's more fun that way. And actually, what we've done in the past as well is, for our short story anthology or our novella anthologies, what we've done is had readings at bookstores in the Los Angeles area, and then used that as an opportunity, like a springboard, for all of us to hang out afterwards. So definitely bring your family with you, because we have a good time. We definitely have a good time. Rod says, you could carry a laptop around with you and introduce me. Sure, why not? Margaret asks, any Running Wild RIZE, any Running Wild Press / RIZE under option with Seymour? Early on, we actually, one of our stories was acquired for audiobook through the Seymour agency. We actually are currently working on all the not all the one pagers, but one pagers, and on pitches for the stories that are coming out in the next 6 months to a year. If the story is not acquired by or if the story is not acquired through the Seymour agency, then what we do is we actually produce it through ACX, which is Amazon's audiobook format or forum. We actually currently have, let me see. Right now, we have 12 different audiobooks in production, 7 projects that are completed, and 2 that are still open to auditions. So we're definitely in progress right now in knocking these out. I'm actually really looking forward to getting these to you guys, and getting all those audiobooks out there. I think it's going to be pretty fabulous. So, and we're going to just keep on driving it forward as time progresses. So awesome. All right. So it's about 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Honestly, Margaret, Caroline, Rod, you guys are phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining me. I know that this week we had quite a bit of audio, and Teja, thank you as well. Cree, thank you. So thank you, CJ. You guys are all absolutely wonderful. I know we had a lot of technical challenges this time around. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next week won't be nearly as gaudy in terms of technical challenges. But with that, if you are watching this and it is not Thursday between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time or 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, no big deal, guys. Go ahead, toss your questions into the comments section, and we are more than happy to answer them in the next time that we're on screen. So with that, honestly, you guys are fabulous. Absolutely adore you. Can't wait to see you next week. And if you think of anything, please don't hesitate to go ahead and reach out to us and ask your questions. We are more than happy to chat. So actually, I think with that, have a fabulous week, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.